This is very different from your UFO genre flick that has been done in the past. It's really about putting together the best and newest evidence that would be incontrovertible in any court of law regarding the existence of UFOs and what it means to humanity.
Firmly convinced that the objects we saw were under some type of intelligent control.
What is the Air Force hiding in this investigation? We have not been hiding anything.
Reportedly, a spaceship landed and was all hushed up.
We're talking about extraterrestrial craft with people.
In the early 1960s, Senator and presidential candidate Barry Goldwater called his friend General Curtis LeMay to ask about recovered UFO hardware kept at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
I called Curtis LeMay and I said, General, I know we have a room at Wright-Patterson where you put all this secret stuff. Can I go in there? I've never heard him get mad, but he got madder than hell at me. Cussed me out, said, don't ever ask me that question again.
Gemini astronaut Gordon Cooper, the last American to go up in space alone, saw a saucer land while testing an F-86 fighter jet at Edwards Air Force Base in the early 1950s.
I was having some cameramen film the installation of a precision landing facility we were putting in right on the edge of a dry lake. And the saucer flew right over him and put down 3 little gear and landed out on the dry lake bed.
There was a huge sphere. I think it appeared when we were over Newfoundland. The sea was in the background. It was shining, sparkling, of absolutely even shape. It shone like the balls that hang on trees at Christmas, greenish in color and all shimmering.
It followed us during half of our orbit. We observed it on the light side, and when we entered the shadow side, it disappeared completely.
They sent some of us to Alamogordo, to White Sands, to view the blips on the screens. The blips were just dancing from one end of the screen to the other, and then all of a sudden there was kind of a flash, and it just disappeared. Well, we got to, I guess, maybe 200 yards, maybe 300 yards from where it was. And we learned right then and there it wasn't a plane, it wasn't a missile, it was kind of a strange-looking craft that was embedded in the arroyo. See? The size of the craft, I would say possibly maybe around 20, 25 feet in length, and it was open and kind of halfway, and one body was thrown up against the wall of the arroyo. The other one was half in and half out of the craft, and when we got in close we noticed that there were probably 3 others inside the craft.
This is not going to be a documentary about people who claim to have had sex with Venusians or people who claim to have gone on board spacecraft to have bagels and lox. This is going to be a very serious investigative report. The look and feel of it will be a great deal more like 60 Minutes or Frontline than anything that's been produced in the Unsolved Mysteries or Fox TV genre of documentaries.
Dr. Steven Greer is a surgeon and former chairman of the Department of Emergency Medicine at Caldwell Memorial Hospital in North Carolina. He is also the founder and international director of the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or CSETI.
My name is James Crummell. I'm an actor. And I met Steven Greer a couple of years ago. A friend of mine asked me if I wanted to hear somebody who was going to talk about extraterrestrials and the government's interest in suppressing the information that contact had been made. It had always interested me, and I went along and I found Stephen to be very compelling.
I have personally briefed a sitting director of Central Intelligence. I have briefed members of the Congress and Senate, including the Senate Intelligence Committee, the chairman of the House Government Reform and Oversight Committee. I have briefed the UN leadership on this issue and many other world leaders.
I think what distinguishes Dr. Greer's selection of witnesses is that these are not people who are off the street. These are not people who've had abduction experiences that have been, where they might have been compromised in some way. These are people who are either government officials, they are in the military, they are in industry, their credentials are impeccable.
For example, in 1997, we had briefings that we conducted for Congress. There were 30 congressional offices that came. There were chairmen of committees at this briefing. It was held at the Westin Hotel in Georgetown.
Were brought out were several pieces of metal. Here, one, the large one, was demonstrated that this piece could be folded, could be crushed, and it would immediately pop back into shape. Admiral Train gave the order to scramble several planes. Orders were given to close in on the object, make contact, force down if possible. 1 minute it would be off the coast of Maine. The next instant it would be off the coast of Virginia Beach.
There were 3 lights in a perfect triangular formation, a perfectly solid formation. These lights proceeded to position themselves over the B-52s that were on strategic alert.
And I said, what are you going to do with this piece of information? And they said, well, we have to airbrush this stuff out before we give it to the public. I was amazed at how many people knew about this and were threatened that they talked about it, they would lose their retirement.
The issue is providing to the public whatever records may still exist, if any, and there may not be any, but if any on the Roswell incident, so people can make their own determination. That is the mission that I discussed with the General Accounting Office.